and of course the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now, joining me on Candid Frank Live, finally, he took a day off on Monday, and guess what, folks? If you enjoyed Monday, you're going to enjoy Friday too.
That's right. I am sparing every one of my toxic and liberal presence for Monday and Friday of this week. Wednesday is the only dose of my communist agenda that you folks will get to see.
Now, so yesterday, one of our dogs got, he passed away. I think she had a heart attack. I was in my bedroom lazily getting up. I figured, okay, she's watching her love story TV shows that she watches. So I wanted to watch sports, so she's hugs and kisses. I'm hugs and punches in the face. So, just a different approach to what we enjoy. And so I'm watching that. And then I hear, she says, I got to go. I'm going to take Cuddles to the vet. I said, what's wrong? She says, she's not well. She's sitting down, standing up, moving all the way around. She looks really uncomfortable. So I went to look. I said, Cuddles, how are you? I picked her up in my arms, and she began to die. It was horrible. It was horrible. Her breathing slowed down. If I get emotional, I'm sorry. Her breathing started slowing down, and then I sat down on the couch. She voided on me while. Which is one of the last things that happens before we and animals die. And so she passed away, and we brought her to the vet. And of course, my girlfriend had to hold her all the way there. It was horrible. I don't wish it on anybody. I wrote a thing at the very moment about it. If you're interested, I'll send it to you. Anybody out there, if that's what they want. Essentially, my love for these animals, I've known them for a few years, and it's a mother and a daughter, and the daughter died. She had problems. She had breathing issues. She had weight problems we've tried to work on. And as you know, in real life, just like people, losing weight isn't easy. It's a challenge. So she passed away, and now we're thinking about a rescue. We're looking into a situation, to replace the dog. Financially, it's a holy mackerel, $2,000 to replace the dog that we lost with a dog like it. It's a Shih Tzu. You can say that on TV, right, Aaron? Shih Tzu?
I think so. Yeah, okay. It's a proper name.
Is it? Okay, good. It's like Schitt's Creek. So basically, yeah. So we're looking for that. You had that happen to you. It is a terrible experience.
No, it certainly is. Our dog passed away actually on February 3rd. So he had one whale of a 2021 and a not much better 2022 in between colitis and dental surgery and getting bitten by another dog and arrhythmia and going blind and all that other sort of fun stuff. He also suffered anemia where his white blood cells were basically attacking his red blood cells, and he too passed at home. We brought him back, and I know that we were discussing this with the vet, and one of the things that she mentioned is very often a lot of people will go through a great deal of expense to try to keep their pets alive, and it's not necessarily because they're doing it for the dog, but they're doing it more for themselves. And I know that they're a part of our family. You love them with all your heart, and you care for them, and they are pretty awesome. Let's be honest.
Understand.
I don't think we deserve them for the most part, but there comes a point where you have to recognize,
agreed, Aaron. But I think what it comes down to, and you and I probably fit in the same sort of spectrum. There's financial reticence for some because they don't have the money, some because they're afraid that if they spend that money, they won't have money, and there are those that make value judgments in as far as why am I spending this money on an animal that's getting sick, that'll continue to get sick, and then I'm basically wrestling with what is, as you know, quality of life, because that's the other thing that you didn't mention that I'll mention at this point. making, it's funny, a long time ago, we realized with animals, right? And I am not comparing animals to human beings, please. I'm just talking about the thinking process. There was a time when we considered letting people die as totally irrelevant, impossible, not going to happen. We can't do that until we arrived at a conclusion, which is quality of life has some merit, right? It makes a point. So I don't want to leave it with me disagreeing with Aaron because I'm saying, well, you know what, they're worth saving. It's not just about whether they're worth saving, whether you're saving them for continued suffering, which no living being should be forced to do. Now, it's your decision. If you have the money that you can afford to make your dog or your cat or your cow 100% healthy, good for you. Congratulations. I'm happy for you, right? But the reality is that some people can't afford to do that burden. In some cases, even I know for a fact is parents have to decide whether they keep the pet alive or they continue putting food on the table. That's not an oversimplification. That's a simple fact. And all those things you have to balance. There is no one answer. One shoe doesn't fit all. It's so I'm not disagreeing with you, Aaron, at all, but I am trying to around the edges, add another point around the edges.
No, and I understand and respect that, Frank. But it is, and it's always a difficult time. It's never a fun thing to have to deal with. So
Never.
Zeke passed on the 3rd, and we got his ashes back on the 10th. So it's still relatively fresh for us too. So we've been where you're at, and we know that it does get better. It's
it's crazy. It truly is crazy because for us, it was a weird week because my mother's birthday is the same birthday as mine on the 13th of February. And my girlfriend's mother's birthday is on the 12th. And so we celebrated the birthday on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Valentine's Day on Monday, and then the death of our dog on Tuesday. The range of emotions that we went through it's incredible. And then to have it capped off the day after Family Day, losing a very important member of the family. And anybody who doesn't or hasn't or had occasion to spend time with a pet over a prolonged period, who hasn't had the opportunity for a one-on-one relationship with an animal, you won't understand this statement that I'm making right now. I love that dog and I miss it to death. When I did this show, she sat out that door waiting for me to come out. So my heart is broken because she's no longer here. And if you think it's silly that a man cry over an animal, get used to it, because if you don't know that happens, then you haven't lived. So all of us that have had pets have been attached to those pets, and they mean everything in the world to us because they're short of what children mean to people. I'm not, I know people who treat dogs more like better than their children. Look at Aaron's trying to hide himself.
I wasn't going to say it happened with us, but
so there's that too, right? So anyway, I'm sorry about the emotion, but it truly was and truly is a heartbreaking experience to lose a family member, because animals do one thing that humans can't do. They actually do give unconditional love. They have no condition. Maybe a treat here and there might do it, but that's to the extent of what you need for an animal, the basic necessities of life, and they love you forever. All right. Let's go from that to another story that totally, I don't know. Mackenzie County, 32% of the people in that county are vaccinated. They've just decided to make it, essentially what they're saying is it's illegal to have a vaccine mandate as part of your business.
I believe their words are corporate use of coercion and intimidation towards employees to dictate personal health choices are inappropriate, and we will not work with companies that tolerate or promote such behavior. So basically what they're saying is that any company with a vaccine policy that are employed or paid by the county need to have their employees work remotely or make arrangements to hire a subcontractor that doesn't have a vaccination policy in order for them to come onto city property.
So they are no better than the people they complain about because they essentially, in this case, are the definition of two wrongs don't make a right.
You know, and hey, you know what? It's their right to choose to enforce this, and if that's what they want to do, then cool. You know, more power to them. You can run your county however you see fit. Um,
It's okay. I
yeah,
just the only point here is that, I'm for getting vaccinated, um, and other people are not. Have at her. It just at some point there has to be accountability for the decision that you make. Like they say about elections have consequences. Decisions about your health and how you treat your health has consequences as well. Be aware that the consequences that you create may be abandoned by others. That's the thing of it that always nags me in the back of my head. You have the freedom to make your decision, but if that decision impacts my life, then I have a right to say, nope, that's not the way I want to live. So that's everybody's choice. The Leafs have been very busy this week, as well as losing. they, have been very busy.
they have some breaking news actually out of the KHL this morning. Their draft pick from 2020, Rodion Emirov, who was actually recovering from a head injury that he suffered during a preseason game in August of 2021, was actually diagnosed with a brain tumor. He's currently still doing workouts 3 times a week, but he is also undergoing medical treatment for it.
Have the Leafs asked him to come here and do it, or are they faithful enough, and is he faithful enough with Russian doctors handling it?
They're keeping him in Russia for now. I don't think that travel is necessarily recommended. Change in pressures and whatnot may affect his head differently. But as it currently stands, he says he wants to say positive, and I want people to think positively about me. There are many people that can have their own sicknesses or illnesses, and I want to show by example that I can give people hope. So he's going to stay in Russia for now and work on it. He's living a normal life. He's continuing to practice, to skate, to go to the gym. The doctors are supporting that. But the only difference right now is apparently he's going through chemotherapy.
Yeah, but I have my doubts about when it comes to Russian doctors and the health of athletes and whether the government has that as their primary concern for an athlete. I think we know they don't. So, I think that's why I said that. And you're right. He's not going to travel if he has a brain tumor. He's not going to get into an airplane.
No.
So the Sharks claim Ryan Dzingel. I was looking forward to him being a Maple Leaf. I truly, truly was.
You know what? It was one of those things where it was like, oh, yeah, I remember him when he played for Ottawa. He was a bit of a Leaf killer. So I'm kind of glad. Now, they picked him up with Ilya Lyubushkin from the Arizona Coyotes on Saturday. That was in exchange for forward Nick Ritchie and a conditional pick. Basically, what the Leafs managed to do is they managed to ship out Ritchie's $3.3 million contract for next season, get ourselves a solid right defenseman for the time being, and the blue chipper, who we unfortunately lost right back to the San Jose Sharks, who evidently liked enough of what they saw in Arizona that they figured they'd take a flyer on him.
Yeah, and the money that he cost was not so much. So,
Exactly.
that those kinds of players, they spring free, that way, and we've seen it all year. Unfortunately, Leafs seem to have been more on the opposite end of that situation. Now, while the game was going on between between the Blue Jackets and the Maple Leafs, Kyle Dubas was either on the phone before, during, or right after the game, because during that game, a lot of people were up in arms because of the goaltending. If you watch Leaf fans, right away, every time the team loses, yep, it's got to be the goalie's fault.
Of course it
And
is.
they
It's
bring
always the
in
goalie's fault.
and they bring in Carter Hutton from the
Well,
same team.
I think it was merely coincidental. I think that was just part of a sweetener. Now, what's actually really happened here is we've taken Carter Hutton in this trade for future considerations, which is a polite way of saying hockey is equivalent of magic beans, because we never know what they're going to turn into, and loaned him back to the Tucson Roadrunners, where the Leafs will basically be paying his salary for them.
Right.
So,
And that'll be as a minor league player. And
yes.
in that way, I guess their determination is, unless this is just because they need time to bring him to Canada anyway, if that's the case, or there's another reason, like, for example, him getting ice time.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is the Maple Leafs are pretty stacked right now between the Growlers and the Marlies with goaltenders. I think we've got 7 or 8 of them floating around our farm system now. So keeping him out there with their farm team is basically a way of making sure he still gets rotations and gets time in.
Well, Saint Louis, he's happy with Caulfield. Caulfield's done a great job. Him and Anderson have regained that chemistry from the playoffs as the Canadians give it to the Maple Leafs, French style, 5-2.
Yeah, that was something.
That was
I'm not saying this was a trap game, but we
Well,
played down to their level and they made us pay dearly for it, which is something I was expecting.
this was the Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup Final, Game 7 for this year.
Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much. They enjoyed
What
it.
name a more important game that they have to play the rest of this season.
Their next game against the Leafs.
That'll be the only thing that's different.
Always.
It is what it is. And good for them winning. And for the people who are panicking about the Maple Leafs, they're well justified. Hey, panic, go ahead. But I'm one of those people that if I was a Leaf fan, so I guess I'm talking to you, is I wouldn't start panicking. The commentary, yes, we need a defenseman. We need a better goal. I can get that. But this, oh no, we're going to lose in the playoffs because of what happened today. And between today and the playoffs, there's a heck of a lot that can happen. I think panic as far as the playoffs should be Game 7 of a series, and the Leafs are behind by 6-1 with 3 minutes left in the game. Then you can start panicking.
Well, I mean, I would start to panic if we're going to Game 7 in a series we should have won in 4 or 5.
Well, that goes without saying. And actually, you're right, because that's the thing that, right. So what you're saying is that if the Leafs are heading the series 3-1, then it's time to start panicking. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
That's what history has taught us.
Oh, my God. It's tough being a Leaf fan. It really is hard to be a Leaf fan.
We hate ourselves and we hate our team in equal measure. It's fantastic.
And here's one of the reasons why Leaf fans are so panicked. They look west to Alberta, and I'm not talking about Edmonton. Calgary, I'm telling you, they're starting to look like they're ready to roll in the playoffs. They've got a coach who's an in-your-face kind of guy who understands what it takes to win a cup. Oh, yeah, because he did win one in L.A. And he's brought the same – this is the L.A. team that he won the Stanley Cup with, except they've moved to Calgary.
I mean, essentially, it's a lot of the same personnel, which gives him a familiarity and a base. They already know what to expect out of their coach as well. So here's the cool part. The Flames have now won 10 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Twice before they've won 10 in a row. The last time was in 2016-17. The other time was in 78 and 79 when the franchise was still in Atlanta.
Yep.
So this is look, I'm not going to call them a juggernaut because that's not really what they are. They're on a massive heater right now, but they haven't reached juggernaut status quite yet.
So if they go into the Death Valley of the southern U.S., and the Death Valley, they're going on a road trip that takes them to Florida, Tampa, and, of course, the Florida team. And then they come to the Carolinas, and they play the Carolina Panthers. Those 3 teams are like top 3 in the Eastern Division. And how they do against those 3 teams will not make or break their season. But there might be a few answers that they'll have and a few hints that the GM might need to look into. So their goaltending is going to be tested and their defensive play is going to be tested because, as we all know, that the offense of those 3 teams is awesome. And then when you think of Florida that leads the league in scoring, it's going to be interesting. And team play in Carolina, yeah, it's going to be fun. If you're a Calgary fan, man, you should be gnashing your teeth right now going. And then the other thing, don't get Leafitis. If they come back with, let's say, 1 of 3 wins, don't get all upset. It's that time of year, baby. And they're playing on the road. So even a 1-3 record coming back from that road trip would be a good one.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, when you're playing the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Carolina Hurricanes, it is literally the Death Valley of sports. I mean, you're going to be lucky if you come out of there with 4 out of 6 points, because those 3 are very, very tough to beat. And if they can do it, then that will serve as a huge confidence builder going forward. We'll have to see where they end up after that. But I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched. I'm just going to enjoy the hockey because it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. Now, have Edmonton plateaued, or are they still able to rise a bit? Right now, they look like they plateaued a little bit, which is, on the verge of being in the playoffs, on the verge of being out of the playoffs.
They're in a really difficult position now, and I think this happens a lot with a new coach. You get to a certain point where they've won a few games under their new coach. Will it continue? The more important thing is, how will they react when they finally lose a game? So seeing how that is going to play out going forward is going to be the more interesting part for me, I think.
Players coming back. He's coming back and be playing in the ECHL. Sean, I dare you to suspend me, Avery.
Yes. So this is big news. He's essentially signed a PTO with the Orlando Solar Bears, and he's been posting video on his Twitter feed and whatnot about how he's going down for tryouts. This has also inspired Matthew Barnaby to get in on the action. I don't know if you ever remember.
He's not coming back. He's not coming back, is he?
Well, he has.
Is he
said
thinking
that he
about
wouldn't mind signing in the ECHL with a Florida team that plays the Orlando Solar Bears a lot. They still really don't like each other. So
wow.
You're looking
Buffalo
at Matthew
Sabre, for those of you that don't remember, and I'll try and remind you by saying Buffalo Sabre.
He's Matthew Barnaby is currently 48 years old. Sean Avery is 41 years old. I don't know how else to put this, Frank, but if they do end up fighting, somebody could fall and break a hip, and nobody wants that.
And they're old enough to have health care that they don't have to pay for.
Well, Avery's only
I'm just
41,
kidding. I'm just kidding. That's me saying there's not that old.
Somebody's getting hit with a cane.
That was which reminds me, but never mind. Okay, the National Lacrosse League. Nick Sakavitz has done a great job with that league as the commissioner. He has done a masterful job in expansion. He has ridden this pandemic storm. A lot of players, a lot of teams, they're not as frustrated, other than the simple fact they couldn't play. He has done a great job of managing this organization. Are you surprised that he's leaving?
I'm not really all that surprised. The CBA is coming up as well. And I think that the opportunity to get some fresh blood in there to negotiate that might actually help matters. I know that the relationship between the league and the Players Association has always been a little bit contentious, and I think that Sakievich has been part of that. As the face of the league, as the NLL commissioner, it's one of those things. But thanks to him, the league has gone from 9 to 15 teams. They first partnered with BR Live. Now they've got to deal with TSN and ESPN. And this started in December 2021. So there's been a lot of growth there. Franchises in Dallas, Fort Worth, the San Diego Seals, the return to Albany, all of this has been absolutely fantastic for the league. But at the same time, going forward, you kind of want to have a bit of a fresh start at this point with everybody coming out of COVID and the new expansion teams.
I think he's attracted the attention of an organization somewhere, and we'll hear about it soon. The other thing you can say about his stewardship is that when he got into this league, there were teams in trouble. There were teams that were moving, needed to move, then weren't sure we're going to be able to stay where they landed. All these questions about the health of franchise. He went from 9 to 15, and all the franchise are in good health. So not only did he add 6, there were a few that are in new locations today that are far better off than they were when he came.
It's about picking and choosing your shots. And as we get down to the final buzzer of his tenure there, it's always really important.
Absolutely. First Nation Health Ombudsman Office to be established in Saskatchewan. That is an excellent idea.
This is absolutely fantastic for them. Chief Bobby Cameron of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations says the office is going to work to ensure First Nations people feel safe reporting discrimination when accessing health services. So that's important.
By-election in Manitoba, former Premier Pallister leaves.
Yeah, so because he stepped down to spend more time with his family, people are going to be going back to the polls. That is going to be, keep your eyes peeled for it, March 22nd.
Ontario MPP could be barred.
So those who don't know Randy Hillier will soon come to know him a little bit better. I have a feeling he's transitioning to the Rebel at this point based on his behavior. He doesn't appear to be welcome in the Ontario legislature anymore.
A man charged in firearm incident that shut mall by Parliament Hill.
So this is a 50-year-old that went into a mall, refused to pay, and then pulled a gun. It has nothing to do, as far as we can tell, with the protests. So people can put that one to rest. But the incident was resolved safely and without additional incident.
Mamadi Kamara settles lawsuit.
So this was an unlawful arrest or a wrongful arrest in 2021. She settled for, I believe, $1.2 million from the city of Montreal.
COVID-19 protesters are being asked to leave or risk consequences.
Yeah, the police are saying, we told you so. If you don't clear out, there are going to be problems.
BC doctor talking smack about stuff, being warned as well.
Yep, the College of Physicians and Surgeons of BC says a citation has been issued for Dr. Charles Hoff of Lytton, BC, for publishing statements on social media and other digital platforms that are misleading, incorrect, or inflammatory.
How is she, the queen?
She's good. Stop asking.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Frank.
For Aaron William Freeland, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thanks for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. The show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news and entertainment sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Miss you, Cuddles. Love you.